A developer replaced his whole CMS with Markdown files and AI agents in a single weekend and only cost him $260 in tokens. His name is Lee Robinson, VP of Developer Education at Cursor.com, and this got everyone asking, can AI actually replace your CMS? Hi, my name is Flavio from Octahedroid. Today I'm sitting down with Jesus Manuel Olivas, our CEO and co-founder, to break down this debate. So let's get into it. So what actually happened? In December 2025, Lee publishes a post called Coding Agents and Complexity Budgets. He explains how he migrated Cursor.com from Sanity, which is a headless CMS, back to raw code and Markdown files. His argument was that in a team where everyone is technical, the complexity of a CMS isn't worth it anymore. The response from the community was immediate. Sanity published a post called "You should never build a CMS." Other developers weighed in too. Matteo Frana from ReactBricks proposed a middle ground. So we have a real debate here, but let's start with Lee's side of the argument. Is it valid?
Well, I think Lee's argument is valid, but only for a specific context and what this context is. If everyone in your theme writes code, themes where designers are developers, where marketers are developers, and you don't have a separated marketing team, then maybe a CMS feels more like a friction than something that's helping you. So in this particular case, the CMS, it adds a layer between, their intent and the execution. AI was dealing with a lot of things like modifying content and code, and also it was dealing with schemas, APIs, and way too many things for what they really need. That doesn't mean CMSs are obsolete. It means CMSs only make sense when it creates leverage.
And even Sanity agreed with some of Lee's points. They admitted that, workflows are clunky, auth fragmentation is annoying, but overall, that AI agents couldn't easily reach content behind authenticated APIs. Lee felt that friction, and he responded to it. But what else did Sanity have to say? Sanity's response was titled, "You should never build a CMS." They argue Lee didn't remove the CMS, he just rebuilt one. And by the end, he had an asset management GUI, user management via GitHub, version control, and a content model in Markdown front matter. Do you think that he actually reduced complexity?
I don't think he removed any complexity. He just relocated to a different place, because in the end you cannot remove the need for a content management system. You can only change where the CMS lives, right? So yes, he definitely rebuilt a CMS, or at least part of it, in a way maybe that feels more native for his team. That's the big difference. And all those features exist because the problems are real. Mm-hmm. And the impressive part is how fast he built it using AI. But but in the end, the risky part is what it comes after. Writing software is the easiest part. Maintaining is the hardest part of the process.
I see posts every day celebrating 5,000 lines of AI-generated code like it's a badge of honor. But who's gonna maintain that in 6 months? Just give it some time. Sanity's prediction is that a simple system will accrete complexity in time, because content management in itself is complex. And that's why they also made a strong argument about structured content. Sanity also argues that content is data, not strings, and that Lee's approach breaks at scale. What actually goes wrong when you store everything in Markdown files instead of structured content?
Well, you lost reusability. As mentioned in the Sanity example, if a piece of content appears on multiple places, then you have to update multiple files. With a structured content, you only update the reference of this piece of content. You also lose validation. Markdown doesn't enforce the schemas, require fields, or consistency. Another thing that breaks is workflow. Git works for code, but content isn't code. So most marketers doesn't know how to use Git, and they shouldn't need a GitHub access. What they need is access to a proper CMS. But in the end, Markdown works for small teams when everyone is a developer. At a scale, especially with non-technical collaborators, it becomes a maintenance problem, which is exactly why the CMS exists.
And here's where the conversation gets constructive. Matteo Frana from ReactBricks asked a different question. Can you combine a structured content, a headless architecture, and AI-powered content generation? His answer is yes, through what he calls a visual headless CMS. Both sides agree AI agents need access to content. Matteo Frana proposes a middle ground, a visual headless CMS where components act like Lego bricks that both humans and AI can understand. Do you think this is the middle ground solution to both of these perspectives? And if this isn't it, what does it look like?
I do agree. There's a middle ground, and it's already taking shape. The solution. My agent can access my CMS. It's definitely not deleting the CMS. It's giving the agent proper access using MCPs, skills, whatever. Just letting AI query structured content directly instead of only consuming Markdown files. So things like find all my products or find all this related content just becomes an API call, not a text search, and that's why we all seeing these AI features emerging from multiple CMSs like Sanity, Drupal, and all the others. In the end, you will use the CMS for structured content and the AI for reasoning. Each tool does what it's good at. Related to Matteo's idea of visual headless CMS, I think fits perfectly here. So components became a shared language. Developers build them, editors compose them through build page builders or visually, and AI can reason about them because they are structured data, right? So again, the CMS understand pages, components, and design systems, and enabling AI to generate full pages.
And this also connects to a solution we've been working on at Octahedroid, Drupal Decoupled. It allows you to combine Drupal's robust content management with modern front-end frameworks, allowing developers to build websites in record time.
And finally, related to Drupal Decoupled, this is exactly the direction we're taking with the project. Drupal handles structured content and governance, and modern front-end frameworks like Next.js, React Router, Tanstack or Astro, you name it, handle the UI presentation of the data. And we take advantage of component-based architecture to provide the Lego brick, the blocks and pieces for building those pages. And with initiatives like Drupal Canvas and AI, we can take advantage of everything, design system and structured content. And it also provides a user with a modern, visual page builder within Drupal, which is something we didn't have in the past.
So there it is, AI isn't replacing your CMS, it's just another tool working with it. The real question isn't which side of this debate is right, but understanding what your team actually needs. Context matter, and as a commentator put it, what worked at a Series D isn't gonna work in a Fortune 500 company. So after this discussion, if I understand correctly, the verdict would be Cursor's approach works because it's a very specific context, no? It's a small, fully technical team shipping a single site where speed matters more than governance, and Markdown and JIT are fine there. But once you introduce multiple roles, approvals, reuse, or content scale, these problems don't disappear, they just move. And AI actually doesn't replace content management, it depends on it. So the real question isn't CMS versus AI, it's whether your content infrastructure is ready for AI to work with it, and if it's actually something you really need, right?
Yeah, exactly. If your team is basically only developers or mostly developers, they can easily use Git. That's fine, and that's fine. Your site is small, you have a team of developers, it's all good. Once your site it's bigger, you have different teams with different skills and capabilities, then that's the point when you need to think about using a real CMS for managing the content.
Tools change fast, but meaning, governance, and people change slowly. Systems that ignore those realities tend to recreate the problems they are trying to delete. If you are exploring decoupled architectures, try Drupal Decoupled. I will leave the link in the comments, so it's up to you. If you want to learn more about the latest on modern web development, be sure to subscribe, and I will leave you some videos over here.